will say this for people who don't want to leave their 9 to 5, or they're super happy, they're not very comfortable in an online space. Totally understandable, guys. It is perfectly fine. But what if your grandchildren come to you and say, how do I do this? Or what if your children come and tell you that, okay, I'm starting to do this? At least you can have an intelligent conversation with them, knowing what's happening in the world, right? So you can get started. Now, how do you start rewiring your brain for digital success? Now, there is a big shift happening around the globe, which is shift of trading time for money to building assets. Now, this is something I want to talk about, guys. Okay. So you need to somehow figure out a way to stop thinking that you have to work hard. During my growing up years, I saw so many CVs where people would say, I'm hardworking, I'm skilled. Today's companies don't want to see that you are hardworking. They want to see how skilled you are at whatever you are doing. So they're not looking at how hard work you do. But imagine if there was every technology in place in these work cultures, in these big corporates, and you were still writing down everything in your diary, where you had to track all the information on probably an ERP system, or maybe a system internally that needs to keep check of what's happening, or maybe this new company that you're working in is already AI enabled. There is everything AI in the system. Then what's the point of working hard? You'll have to figure out a way to start working smart and adopt technology and bring it into your life to be able to make a solid difference. So you don't work for 8 hours, but you work 4-5 really good hours of high concentration time. Another important aspect of rewiring a brain for digital success: if you start believing your income should not come from the number of hours that you have clocked at work, guys, to the value that you're creating every moment. In a digital space, what I'm witnessing now in the last 4 weeks now, what I'm learning, people are creating digital assets. Now, how are these digital assets getting created? Similar to this podcast, I'm 5 podcast rich and 5 podcast ready. So now there are people creating digital assets which can be downloaded at any point of time. Like you could download a podcast that I'm creating now, and if it has any value, you download it, right? So there are people creating ebooks, there are people creating brochures, people creating Insta hacks, LinkedIn hacks, Facebook hacks, just in the form of bite-sized learning and selling those. Imagine if you are able to create a small ebook after you learn, okay? After you have learned it, you create an ebook and you start selling it for $27 online, and you start talking about it, that how this whole new journey is adding so much value to your life. Maybe somebody in the same space like you are today might just love that idea and say, oh God, I was just looking for that. And what if they buy that product of yours, and you, doing your 9 to 5, open your bank account and see that there's a $27 credited to your account for a value that you created maybe 2 weeks ago. You are not putting hours here anymore. You created it once and it will be again and again and again sold, right? This is what I want to say, guys. So the more I look around the digital space, wherever I see on my left or on my right, wherever I see, there are multiple layers in which people have started to make money on this online space. There are people who are becoming digital entrepreneurs. There are people who are becoming support system for the digital entrepreneurs. There are tech companies getting started where they are building platforms which are digitally enabled to help such solopreneurs succeed, thrive, right? So an important part and a task number 1 for you to understand if you are ready for a digital space, or if you are ready for a brand new way of living life, because this requires commitment, as much commitment as you have given to your job. Guys, a lot of people I hear and they say, oh, this is a lot of commitment. Oh, I will have to keep posting online. I will have to keep doing this. No, please don't look at it as a chore, right? So if you are working, does your boss have to remind you for your 9 to 5 job? Does he have to tell you that please be in office by 9 o'clock or I will deduct your salary? He doesn't have to say that, right? You just know, you signed up for it, right? So whether you work in that company for 10 years or you work in that company for 20 years, you signed up for it. There has to be a commitment. I've seen people so committed that in high fever also they figure out a way to open their laptop and work from home if they do. But yes, there are people who are so addicted to work, they are not ready to look at anything else. They want to just do that job. So as task number 1, guys, okay, try having an awareness check-in. Okay, rate your current awareness around your self-worth. Sometimes, our self-worth is so shaken up that we are allowing anybody around us to tell us what to do. Sometimes we are not able to call the shots and say, no, no, no. This is not what I want. This is what I want to do, right? So find out and write these scores down. So which will give you a sense of clarity to your starting point. Okay. Task number 2 would be you need to elevate your self-worth. So how do you elevate your self-worth? You can start by increasing your awareness about where do you think you are? What is it that you believe you deserve? Okay. So you need to explore what beliefs or actions are going to ultimately take you to that higher light, that higher space where you will be able to earn good money or start living a life of your dreams or start living a life which you really aspire to always have. So all our life, when we are saving 40 years, we save money to have a life we want to lead and not being able to live the life that we thought we could after having completed 40 years of life. So maybe you might want to retire 10 years early and then travel the world if that was an option. So find out where is your self-worth and what do you believe you deserve to have every day, or what do you believe you deserve to have at the end of the month to call yourself, okay, now I'm successful, now I'm happy that this space is helping me. Also, on a spiritual note, we must understand what are those untouched layers in our life, in our personality, it could be part of our past. It could be part of something really deep and old that you don't want to think about. There could be a trauma in earlier growing up years, or it could be simply a very large limiting belief that we tend to get from our parents because our parents struggled a lot. And I believe that there is a huge generation gap between our parents and people today. So it's possible that it's difficult to explain to our parents then, that they always made us believe that you have to really struggle hard to get to some point. You have to struggle hard to make this work. But trust me, money is not supposed to come so difficult. It was not supposed to be so difficult. It is something as flowy as air. It's, we have to figure out a way to not allow it to get blocked. When we are breathing, we are unconsciously breathing in and unconsciously breathing out. And that is how money is. Money has the same vibration as per all the spiritual books. Now, you could start as part of your task 4, create a daily self-worth practice. You could start by even gratitude. You could develop a routine every day, finding out the things that are already serving you in your life and how grateful you are about it. Sometimes being accepting of the things we already have in our lives can really add to so much more value, and it opens up channels to something new to come in, right? Being grateful, being accepting of whatever it is that is serving us. An important part of this entire self-worth assessment or a self-worth audit is going to be integrating your self-worth and your consciousness. Now, how do you do that? You will say, this is too much of spiritual talk for me, but imagine if you are able to sit with yourself and understand, okay, I think as per me, I deserve, wherever I am today, I deserve so much more money in my account every month, and that would make me happy. Now, if I say I need $1 million, great, I need $1 million. Where am I today? So I could be at an X, and maybe the gap between that X and million could be so large that even my brain goes into a self-sabotage mode and says, leave it, you will not get it. So get back to your 9 to 5 role, right? So that is how it happens. So if I'm at 10, I can maybe ask to check if it's working for me, right? Because you want to trick your brain and find out. So it could be from 10, you could be aspiring and saying, okay, let's see if I can make 12 this month. It could be euros, rupees, rubles, anything. Okay, so wherever you are today, so you say, okay, I'm earning 10,000 currency and I'm aspiring through this same thing another 2,000 to add to my whole kitty. Now, if your 2,000 comes in that month, it's going to motivate you, right? So, of course, you will say, all right, this seems to be already working. Let's build it up. So, but for that, the most important part, guys, is going to be getting started. You will have to get started. So, while you are creating value in your life and you're not clocking in the number of hours that you have to give at work, so let us start with a little small exercise that I would love the audience to go back and do, and I'll be so happy if you tag me on this. So the first thing I really want you guys to do is maybe write down 3 limiting beliefs about online income. What is that limiting belief you have? For those of you who know me already, drop me a message, drop it on Insta, DM me, connect with me on Facebook or LinkedIn, either ways. But let me know what are those 3 limiting beliefs. And even if it is you don't want to share it, please write it down, because we need to acknowledge sometimes what is that thing which is holding us back. It could be the comfort of having a 9 to 5 job, or maybe it could be something else. It's a mindset shift we have to get into, because every new task, every new thing will always have a mindset shift. Now, people were not buying Tesla when it got started because people were not ready to go into a battery operated car, because they knew it can also break down. A battery can go into fire, go into flames. So that is everything. But today Tesla is one of the largest companies in the world selling electric cars, electric motor vehicles. Every new idea, every new company, every new belief takes a little time, and sometimes we have to practice it a little. So pick up these 3 limiting beliefs that you have written down and try to flip them into something more empowering. So if you have a belief of all your life, you have a belief system that you have to really work hard to make money because that is how you saw your parents do it. Well, the times have changed. The empowering belief is that because then those were the only options available, but today you have so many more options available, right? So there is an option of a digital world. The same if we compare these 2 different lifetimes together. And guys, like I also have already mentioned in my previous podcast, the whole progress of humanity is moving at a super fast pace. From 100 years, it had moved to decades of development. And now the same decades are turning into few years. So right now we are already looking at 4-year blocks. Maybe after 2026, it will be shorter. So you will see advancement in technology, advancement in everything. In fact, adoption of technology is what I would say is going to go so heavily into the digital space. So every business that you can think of is going to grow digital. Okay, so DM me on Insta at priya.rao and I'll be so happy to know what is that limiting belief and how are you able to switch it to something more empowering which keeps you going further. So there are 4 types of people in the digital economy. And number 1 are consumers. Consumers are people like you and me who have been all these years, who have been played with on their emotions and whose emotions have been used to grow businesses like Facebook did, like Instagram did. We are those consumers. Consumers are people who are just scrolling and binge watching with no action and enjoying what people are doing and where people are going, just keeping track of the whole world. Second are critics. Critics who say it won't work and they tend to doubt everything. It is possible. Sometimes we are a lot more logical and we take time for some kind of a conviction. And that is why, like I said earlier, do not set a goal so high that it is so difficult for your brain also to believe. We have to trick our brain into believing few things, right? So you have to, even if you are a critic, great. I really look up to critics because they bring a lot of argument on the table, which is so constructive because it brings out the best in anybody who has to explain what is this all about, right? So critics is good. So, but yes, find out what is it that you could do to make it work, even in small ways. And you could try creating, for example, a digital product, right? And see if that works for you. Okay, the third category of people within the digital economy are people who are followers. So they learn, but they do not take action. While creators, number 4 part of that, the digital space, they are people who take risks. They are people who execute. They are people who win. Now you will have to decide which one of these is you. Are you a consumer? I think we all are. They say almost 2.7 billion population on Facebook today, and Mark Zuckerberg has been really doing good. As his company continues to grow and he acquires different companies around the globe. So yes, that is one is the consumers. The second is a critic. The third is a follower, and fourth is a creator.